So good morning, everybody. It's Matthew here. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning, Matt, and good morning, everybody.
Today's the what is it? It's the 18th of April, and we're almost halfway through the year, which is extraordinary. The reason I'm showing you the training portal because we've just launched this the other week, and I wanted to show you the new course lessons. So I've already logged in, of course, and you should have all been able to log in. If you haven't, just contact Linda or Chris. And I'm just going to show you how the new lesson format, because we put a bit of effort into this to make sure it actually works and is functional. So so this is the format of all of our lessons now. So this is going to be lesson 2 of 8. We've got what it's for, the key objectives here, the resources that you can download. I had a question from a couple of clients. Where can I get the printouts? Well, here they are, the parameters and the trifecta guidelines, things like that. We've also, in a lot of the sessions, Pete's recorded a main video, which is this one here, 27 minutes. Please, of course, do expand that so it's your full screen. And then there's any supplementary learnings as well, which here is a 4-minute one. So this might just focus on the one key element of this particular lesson that is that we think, or Pete thinks, there's actually a little bit more effort or time should be spent on this particular aspect. So that's that there. And of course, when you just move this box away, if you scroll down, then you've got the quiz here. So what it's saying here is you'll need to access the IQPro, bring up this date, and the questions do this. Then you can start the quiz, and it'll actually ask you, fill in the ticks. So we've really made this extremely interactive. And so, you're looking at your program. We've got a screenshot of the program. You can go ahead and add the ticks in here like this. I think that it should be this, and you should all know that if it's going to be color band selections, it's going to be like this. And then you can click next, and that'll record your answer. Go through the quiz. At the end of it, you say, hey, look, Matthew, if I did this, for example, and went, I think this horse, and my friend Tom Waterhouse said that, this 57-1 winner's having it large, so I'm going to have that one as well. That's probably not going to be the correct answer. So, of course, it's going to come back and say, hey, you need to relook at this and re-watch the video, which is up here. So, guys, that's what I wanted to show you this morning. Of course, we've now got the forums, which are only launched this week. So, of course, there's not much detail in there. If you're in any of these areas, we have the support groups that are happening in all those areas. Please go ahead and contact Linda if you want to be a part of a support group. We're going to see if we can get the documents and any learnings uploaded to each one of these groups, and that'll be available to everybody to go ahead and find. And we've got everything not IQPro. People want to talk about other stuff and feature requests and whatever other areas you think that might be pertinent. So that's the basics of the portal. I just wanted to show you the training stuff because today's about training, and we've got that section there for you to make you more successful. So there's all the lessons there, 1 to 8. All right, then. Well, look, I'm now going to pass back over to Peter and make you the presenter, Peter. So I do that. Oops, wrong button. That. I'm going to make you the presenter now, Pete, and then you can show your screen, okay?
Good as gold, Matt.
All right, make presenter. Yes.
Okay.
So, Pete, you now show your screen.
Okay, so can everybody see the screen?
Oh, hang on, get my chat box back. Okay, guys, so just let me know if you can see Peter's screen now, which is the program. Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Stuart. Perfect. Okay, good-o. So, everybody, g'day, David. David, how are you? Haven't seen you around for a while. Excellent. All right, then, well, look, everybody, I'm going to pass over to Pete. Now, my job today is to, as always, curate the questions. So, in this question box, the idea is you go ahead and type your questions. and I'll either answer them if it's a quick one, or I'll interrupt Pete if I think everybody could get some value out of it. So there's no dumb questions. Please go ahead and ask them if you're not sure about something. Now, for anybody who's not an existing customer, I know that I've invited some people today to be part of this who are not existing customers. If you've got any questions, do of course still ask them. That might expand on an idea that Peter's wants to share, or you can just go ahead and email me directly, and I'll provide you with an online personalised demonstration. All right, well, that's enough from me. Peter, over to you.
Thanks, Matt. All right, well, before I get started, I will say as an extension of what Matthew was showing before, in the support portal, very shortly, if not now, there will be accompanying or supplementary to the training program a series of mini modules dealing with certain aspects of the trading process. You know, by that I mean there is one that will be going up soon, or if it's not there already, dealing with the things to look for that can help reinforce the choice of mega factor, for instance, and things like that. So these are not formal training modules, but they are modules that are designed to increase the enlightenment of everybody, and they're complementary to and align with the formal training module series. All right, okay. Let's get underway with the trading on this particular Saturday, the 4th of April. And we'll start off with the second race of the day. And we go to percentage return. And you can see that if I just take the lock off, you know, we are dealing with a weak favourite here. So potentially, of course, we can think about trading against weak favourites if we figure that our group satisfies all the indicator requirements and is money competitive with the weak favourite. But remember that any trading group that, firstly, trading groups must be defined by red separators, and trading groups must hold cumulatively 47.5 or greater percent of the win pool. So obviously, to start with, I guess you would say that these two runners here are the most money competitive with runner 3. But you can see over here, and of course, we can't trade with 12 and 1 as the group, because the 12 and 1 cumulative doesn't hold 47.5% of the money. So we add the favourite, but still you can see that we're not holding 47.5% of the money. So our group would have to extend down to the second separator, giving us in excess of 50%, and that gives us a trading opportunity with 60% projected return. So most important to remember that the key factor, I guess, in deciding, you know, what the ultimate trading group will be is that minimum cumulative requirement of 47.5% of the money, and of course also backed up by the need for there to be, you know, no WUP indicators and minus values in the UDIF column and so on. So that our trading group in this particular race will be 12, 3, 1 and 6, and that gets us underway on this particular day. Righto, we go to the next one. Now this is just, I guess, straight up and down. I mean, we can see quite clearly that at the 1 minute interval, we're going to be making group selections. Now, this is an interesting one, because I suppose you could sort of think to yourself, well, will I will I trade mega factor? Number 10, $1.90 favourite, quite a large money gap. Now, let's look at some of the factors that can decide whether we do or we don't here. If we go to percentage return, you can see quite clearly we've got a separator or a separator associated with our group that's bigger than the money gap in trifecta. And I guess you can see quite clearly that the money support here is pretty strong all the way along, down to the 1 minute mark, and the group's holding the favourites holding 44.4% of the money. But as we indicated at one other point, one other webinar, we're dealing with a race at a place called Tartura, which I'm not really sure where Tartura is, but I mean Tartura would be a very, very small township, I would think, and the standard of racing, well, is it going to leave a little bit to be desired? So perhaps early in the day, even though the money would suggest that sticking with the favourite alone for first would be justifiable, weighing up all the pros and cons, the fact that the favourite's holding 44.4% of the overall win pool, which is sort of betwixt and between. It's not sort of definitively strong. It's probably better in the early stages to stick with the group selections, in which case you'd be bringing the first place group down to number 8, second down to number 8, just following the basic money gap process, and down to number 5 for third. And of course the locations of the separators support that. In percentage return, support what we're doing in trifecta. So that gives us 30 combinations. If you decided to go mega factor, of course, those would be the selections that would be chosen, like so, and you'd end up with the same number of combinations. But I think we've always advocated that you be a little bit sort of circumspect and a little bit cautious and look for reasons, particularly early on in a day, not to trade in races if you feel there are any sort of mitigating circumstances that could sort of not support a satisfactory trading opportunity. And I think given that this was an early, like a very early race, or the first race in a little community called Tartura, it's probably better to be conservative and just go along group selection lines. Okay, we go to, where is it? Next race, of course, percentage return. Now here's an example of trading against a weak favourite in percentage return. Our favourite number 3, sitting second in the field order at the 1 minute interval. So that means it's certainly not the runner over the last 5 intervals that's attracted the most money. The group of runners that's most money competitive with that weak favourite would be 5, 2, 6 and 12, defined by the separator. If we do our subtraction, of course we can see that that group is holding in excess of 47.5% of the money, cumulative money, and the favourite, of course, as well as being obviously weak, sitting second in the field, is showing no WUP numbers and a positive value in the UDIF column. So that means that trading against favourite would be quite acceptable and justifiable for all those reasons. You can see quite clearly that the money is for the group is competitive, and it's also competitive here. So that's going to be our trading group, those 4 runners. giving us a return of greater than 50%, and there's another trading opportunity, trading against the weak favourite this time. In most instances we find that we're including favourites in groups because of the indicator requirements that we desire, but when there is strong supporting evidence that trading against the favourite is acceptable, well then that's the way I believe you should go. Okay, so I guess it's all about sort of being aware and taking into account the full complement of indicators that will help you decide confidently on the trading outcome in a race. Okay, we go to now, where is it? I've lost him. Hang on. There we are. Now here's pretty straightforward trading example. Basic money gap process at work. We're going to bring the first place, well that will be our first place group covering at least 50% of the money. I mean that's supported by the money profile at 1 minute and back here of course. Second place would come down to number 11, covering 70% of the money to a red money gap. And then of course third, I suppose if you're going to apply the basic money gap process strictly, you'd be bringing third place down to number 1. But we can, and we're entitled to make a percentage allowance and cover third place down to where we've got second place, because we are holding, for the runners to that level, are holding 89.76% of the money. A sizable money gap, 2.68, which is considerably, bigger. I mean, and for just for the people that are uninitiated and probably wonder what the hell these red indicators are all about. A money gap is signified such as this, where there is a 50% or greater increase in win dividend value going from one runner to the next down the field order. So this 2.68 numeral is telling us that $25.70 is 2.68 times $9.60. And in other words, a huge increase in win dividend on offer. So win dividends are based on the amount of money support that runners are attracting. So there's obviously far, far less support for runner 4 than there is for runner 11 and the runners above. So because there is that sort of very clear and graphic reduction in money, market money support for these lower runners, we can, in recognition of that, say we'll blow it. We want to sort of fine-tune our selections to, I suppose, maximise any return that we're likely to get based on what we're seeing. And so the optimum coverage here, based on the money profile, would definitely be, as is outlined, making the percentage allowance. All right, moving to percentage return. Strong favourite number 2. Got to go in any trading group that we choose. As you can see here, these two runners are, in terms of cumulative money over the last 5 intervals, are the dominant runners in the betting. At the 1 interval, clearly there's clear dominance here. And I guess all the way along, particularly at 3 minutes and 2 minutes, relatively speaking, most of the money action is for those two runners. And of course, those two runners together form a group that is holding, in excess of 47.5% of the money. And on top of that, to support the strength of money support for that group of two runners, we have numerals in the WUP column for both, and we have negative values for both in the UDIF column. So all those indicators combine to support trading with 8 and 2 as our group. Moving to the next one. Now, of course, if I completed the money gap selections here, I mean, we can see quite clearly that we're going to be causing many guideline breaches. So at the 1 minute interval, it didn't qualify as a trifecta race. But going to percentage return, very much a facsimile of the last example. All of the indicator boxes are ticked. You can see very, very clear cut all the way along here. You know, if you started reviewing percentage return back at 5 minutes, at that point you're already, or should be, anticipating a trading opportunity with two runners if the money support stays consistent. And of course we can see it not only stays consistent but seems to strengthen overall as we get down to the 1 minute mark. I mean, very clearly dominant money here at the 1 minute mark for those two runners. Very clear cumulative money support for the two runners over the last 5 intervals. I mean, look at the difference between, so in other words, there's a 2.58%, 2.58 times reduction in cumulative money going from runner 1 to runner 7. And of course, the two runners as a group are holding more than the mandatory 47.5% minimum of the win pool. So there's another opportunity, trading opportunity, with greater than 50% return on offer. All right, now here we go with a possible mega factor. Now we are at Doomben now, so remember it's a Saturday, so Doomben is a metropolitan meeting, and so there would be a higher standard of, I guess, horse flesh on offer at Doomben, as would be in most of the metropolitan centres. And if we look over here, you can see there's been clear-cut sort of dominant money support all the way along. Look at the money here at the 3 minute mark for runner 3. I guess it eases off a little bit at the 1 minute mark. Let's go to percentage return, but you can see quite clearly, look at the separator size for runner 3 compared to the money gap size. 2.90 associated money gap, in percentage return 3.71 separator, which is telling us that over the last 5 intervals, right at the business end of things, you know, there is clear-cut strength of money support for runner 3. So all things point to trading in mega factor in this particular race. Singling out the favourite to come first because it's paying a win dividend of $2, and of course, if we are successful in choosing the winner, of course we've got second and third stitched up as well. So I suppose that's the ideal minor placing coverage. This race didn't win, but as a matter of fact, but still a worthwhile mega factor opportunity based on the indicators on show. Okay, here's another straight up basic money gap selection race. We're going to cover the top 2 runners for first. We're going to cover down to runner 2 for second. Obviously can't stop here. Can't think about stopping here. Well, you wouldn't want to based on the money profile. I mean, there's not there's not a great deal of differentiation in the reduction of money going from this runner to this runner anyway. And of course, if we're going to make a second place percentage allowance, we've got to be holding at least 67.5% of the money, and we've got to have a minimum size money gap of 1.7. So no way in the world that the percentage allowance would apply, so therefore basic second place selections extend down to runner 2, third place comes down to runner 3, and you can see that the money profile supports that. They're the selections that best accommodate the money profile at the 1 minute mark, without a shadow of a doubt. So you've got sort of a stepping down, 3 tiers of money support. Strength of money for the top 2 runners, and then secondary money for those 3 runners, and then of course we go to another grading further down. And of course that would produced a successful outcome, and you know, no smoke and mirrors here. It's just applying the procedures as outlined in the training. And I think, in matter of fact, you've got a double opportunity here, because this was also a trading race in percentage return. Strong favourite, group of 2 runners. We've got the defining separator bigger than the minimum requirement of 1.7, greater than 47.5% cumulative money for the 2 runners together here, cumulative dominance here, clearly defined dominance, money dominance at the 1 minute mark, at the 2 minute mark, at the 3 minute mark. Very much a predictable trading race with those 2 runners, I would have thought, from not just at the 1 minute mark, but certainly back commencing at 3 minutes, and being reinforced at 2, and then finally at the 1 minute interval. So there's a double opportunity. So I guess it reinforces the, so a double payout in other words, and it reinforces the necessity to become adept at doing complementary assessment as you go from 5 minutes down to the 1 minute interval for both percentage return and trifecta. I know some people are a little bit sort of hesitant, and I am asked from time to time in the training, oh well, can I just stick with trifecta or can I just stick with percentage return? You can certainly do that if you choose to, but I guess by doing that you're limiting your opportunities for profit generation. And so I strongly advocate that people right from the start, when they start doing live review work prior to any trading activity, is they get that, train themselves and introduce that discipline into their observations, where they can quite happily and comfortably review percentage return and trifecta within the constraints of time that prevail when you're reviewing live data. So, you know, going from interval to interval, there is plenty of time to do a review of both. A, if you're fully conversant and comfortable and aware of the indicators, all the indicators that you're looking for, and it's just a matter of practice, really. So it's well worth it to become adept at doing both, because there are these occasional opportunities that present double opportunities, and as you can see here, give you a double return. Okay, and I think this is another percentage return. Pretty much the same as the others we've looked at here. It's sort of, they're all sort of very similar. Strong favourite, group of 2 runners holding more than 47.5% of the money. separator meeting the basic requirement of 1.7 or bigger. It's very clear-cut cumulative money here, strength of money here relative to the rest of the field, as indicated in the 1 minute money profile. Strength of money here, 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 all the way back. I mean, look at this. I mean, really speaking, this would be the kind of race that you'd be sort of setting yourself up back at 4 minutes to be trading with 2 runners if the money stayed consistent, which it has done. So, you know, if you go back, and we'll just take this back initially just to see, and you can see quite clearly at 4 minutes, for instance, if we were making our selections progressively, we'd be choosing 2 runners. So, or I'll take it one back, further back. There at 4 minutes, our group's going to be 2 runners, right? So we're already decided that if everything stays consistent and the status quo is maintained or strengthened, we're going to trade with 2 runners, 7 and 3. And of course, the money support bears that out over the intervening period down to the 1 minute mark. So, you know, if you set yourself up and make the selections that are appropriate back at the intermediate interval, all you have to do is just confirm what you've chosen at 1 minute, and I guess activate the betting process. And
Hey Pete, if I can just interrupt here.
I'll hear you. Sure.
What I've really enjoyed about today is you're absolute straight down the line dealing with the data. Like I've seen a few opportunities where if you added a few extra horses here, things like that, you would have pulled up a win rather than a loss, a few trades back and things like that. And I just wanted to make comment on that. You know, I know that you're doing the data sheets every day now, and you really want to make sure that those data sheets purely represent for the customers what they should be doing. And if it means representing a loss, like you've shown a few here today, that is really important to have a customer feel confident in when they go into the data sheets, they know that this is the reality of what they're looking at. Yep, you know what, today, what's the result did produce a profit, and over the, you know, so far this year the program's produced a profit of something like $19,000. So we're actually sitting at above $1,000 a week, but it's absolutely every single trade can be discussed with you, and all of those trades are absolutely down the line of what you are teaching now. Like the teaching in the past has involved a bit more subjectivity, whereas we've taken and boiled it down. You know, we've been doing this for 10 years now, or Pete's been doing this for 10 years, so there's if you've got a question, he's got an answer, and it's an answer that's replicatable time and time again to ensure that you're going to be successful, because our only goal here is to provide you with a successful outcome over the long term. So I just want to make comment of that. Some of you long-term people and even some of the short-term people have mentioned that already and said, hey, what if you added down to here? And I've answered that. You know, the previous couple of races ago, you could have had the win if you'd filled in past number 13. But you said, no, the application is the cutback or the allowance, and that is the correct action to take, so we took it. You know, you could have paid. So I just wanted to mention that, and if people who have not seen that, rewatch the recording when I send this out. You'll see a few instances where Pete could have, where we could have made the win work, but you know, Pete's going to get the question, so there's no point making stuff up for the benefit of these webinars to make it look like we win all the time, because we surely don't. Anybody who's had the program for more than 10 minutes know that we surely don't win every day. Our goal is to make sure that you actually go ahead and get those through. One thing, Chris Padden has just asked a question. How do you do a percentage and trifecta bet at once? I'll answer that. You simply look at the trifecta screen, hit the trade button or the bet button, and then you just go to the percentage return screen and hit the bet button there. So that's how you do it on how you do a percent return and a trifecta on the same race.
Yes, and it is achievable. There's no question about it being achievable. if you're doing a review, particularly if you're doing a review from you know, the 5-minute mark down. As we've seen here in that previous percentage return race, I mean, there was no adjustment required at the 1-minute mark. You know, you've already made the selections that back at an earlier interval that indeed prevail at the 1-minute mark. So it's just a matter of clicking over to percentage return and clicking the bet button. So that's why it is important to get, you know, that structured review into the trading experience.
Great, cool. All right, so I'll be quiet and I'll leave it back over to you, Pete.
All right. Just to conclude, here's another pretty clear-cut, straight-up basic money gap trading race. I mean, there's no question about it. We're going to cover the top 2 runners for first. If we go to percentage return, I mean, the location of the separators support what we're doing in trifecta, and so it's just very much black and white down to here for second and third, which give us 40 combinations. And in percentage return, yet again, another example where you could trade in both. Now, this time, of course, it didn't produce a winning outcome because number 5 was the ultimate winner of the race, and we did not have that covered in percentage return or trifecta. But as Matt indicated earlier today, it's not a matter of trying to engineer and manipulate winning opportunities where none are indicated by what we're seeing on the screen. And so I guess the thing is that if you're trading confidently and you're trading as a result of reviewing all the indicators that are important, and you're happy with what you're doing, you know, you're adopting a selective process and you're saying, well, based on what I'm seeing, I'm happy to trade in this race, then you will be accepting of the outcome, and you'll certainly be happily accepting a profitable outcome, but you'll be philosophical, or certainly more philosophical, about a losing outcome if you've been very confident in your trading to start with. And I guess when frustration sets in is where people have a shadow of doubt about trading in a race, but go ahead and do it anyway, and then end up losing. And of course, that that really can sort of cause a sense of frustration. But if you're going into a race and saying, yes, I'm happy to trade, I'm happy to put my money on the line for this because I think I've got all the indicators suggest I've got a great opportunity to have a winning outcome, well, then you'll be accepting of the result one way or the other. All right, so if we go quickly, just have a look at this data sheet. I want to go quickly back to and bring up another day, and we'll just look at this very quickly. Now, once again, we want to reinforce, you must be responsible to yourself. What level of profit is more than acceptable to draw down on. And I would think that for people who are trading on this day, or any responsible trading activity, you'd certainly be thinking about exiting around about here.
Hey Pete, can I just interrupt? I just want to ask the question, of the people that are here online now, who traded? The first question is, who traded last Saturday? And if I could just say, yes, I traded last Saturday in the question box, just want to get a feel for how many people out there actually traded last Saturday. Because this is actually 2 Saturdays ago when we did the previous webinar, right? So people went from the webinar and then went into trading straight away. So these webinars are a great reminder, a warm-up, or to limber up, and then you can get into trading on that day. So I've got a few people already answering here. Yep, Chris, of course, Patrick, yep, great. And Patrick, I'll answer your question in just a moment. I just wanted to ask these questions of the group. So, and also, so my backup question to that, so thank you for the people that answered. Backup question to that is, did you get out? Did you stop trading after that $1,000 earn? Because there's a couple of profits here before we had those drawdowns. Did you actually get out and go and do whatever you wanted to do? So good on you, Stuart. Okay, so Stuart traded and got out with a profit. Look, everybody should have got out of the day with a profit and got out of the day. Or everybody should have traded the day for a profit, even if you did the whole 5 or 6 hours. But go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, good point. I mean, the day ultimately ended up in profit, but I would suggest that if you continued on past this early point here and decided on the fanciful sort of quest to do even better than you're doing in terms of profit here, you're going to end up sort of very, very disappointed, because relatively speaking, even though there was a final profitable outcome, it's pretty it's pretty mundane compared to what could have been taken away earlier on in the day. And I mean, I would suggest that the large percentage of people, of clientele, aren't mad keen punting types. They don't get a buzz out of placing bets, and horse racing isn't sort of what their reason for doing this. The reason for doing this is to generate supplementary income. So once you've done that, and if you can generate supplementary income to a level that you're happy with and comfortable with and very satisfied with a minimal number of betting opportunities, that's even better for somebody who isn't a racing nut. So that's the ideal objective.
Good. Well, Chris just said that he finished the day up halfway through at MR6 with $1,900 profit. Michael, the answer to your question is what we're showing here is just one Saturday, but overall the 19,000 that I quoted earlier is trading the program 7 days a week. So just want to be clear on that. Overall, the big number that I talked about earlier is trading the program every day, stopping at $500 profit. But this race that we're looking at now is just the one Saturday. And Patrick was saying that he stopped the day with a profit and very happy with that, but he did continue to monitor to become familiar with the program, and that's Patrick, that's a winning attitude. Chris Roberts is a customer and has had the program for I think more than 10 years, more than a decade now, Chris, if memory serves. I think that's right, and it's still here every week. It still monitors the program, so actually probably closer to 13 or 14 years. So Patrick, you've got the right idea. You've got the right attitude, and so that's the. I don't think 2 centuries. Well, 2 centuries. Yeah, that's right. Maybe. When did you buy the program, Chris? It's important to actually be familiar with your business. Yeah. So anyway, look. All
right. Okay.
Back to you, Pete.
I'll just quickly go to. I want to just show. Now, I have done a little mini module dealing with mega factor, because I think mega factor is sort of something that does cause a bit of an issue with the cross section of clients.
Hey Peter, just one final interruption. Chris is just saying that he bought the program in early 1999. So, and to show up to these webinars every week is the same attitude that Patrick's got when it comes to saying, this is my business, and Chris, I won't hazard a guess of the sort of money you've made over those years. It'd be, well into the sort of 7 figures, but overall. It'd be, you're here every week because you see this as training. You see this as continuing to sharpen the axe. All right. Well, look. Sorry, Pete. Back to you.
Okay. Wait a minute. Yes, that's what I wanted. Now, let's just sort of look at these two examples on this particular day that are potential mega-factor races. Right? We have a favourite paying $2. We have quite a large associated money gap of 3.45, and the money support, well, it's strong here and pretty strong here, but there's no sort of great strength of money here, and it's starting to sort of fade off a little bit when we get to the 1 minute mark. It's still strong relative to the rest of the field. And looking over here, our favourite's only holding 41.95% of the money. Now, you know, generally in mega-factor, favourites will be holding between 40 and 50%. So 40% is strong, but it's not definitively strong. And if we go to percentage return, what have we got? Well, we've got an associated separator in percentage return, with a separator associated with the favourite, slightly smaller than the money gap in trifecta, which sort of reinforces the fact that over the last 5 intervals the money support hasn't been consistently strengthening to the level we would probably, or we could desire if we're going to single out the favourite to come first. So here the choice was made to apply the basic money gap procedure, you know, safety first, conservative attitude. You know, feeling here was that the favourite just wasn't sort of strong enough, or the indications were that the favourite just wasn't getting strong enough consistent support to justify singling it out to come first, and so this race was eliminated on that basis. And of course, in this instance, by taking that sort of conservative line, taking into account all the indicators, we've saved ourselves a losing opportunity. Okay, if we go to this one here, we can see a slight difference. This time our favourite is paying $1.80 at the 1 minute mark, holding 46.74, so you know that's sort of midway, just over beyond the 45% mark, so it's getting up towards the 50% money that that would apply in banker trifecta. Our money gap is 3.09. In percentage return, our separator is slightly bigger. And if I take this back, if we go back to trifecta, and you can see that back at the 4 minute mark, our favourite mega-factor was sort of indicated back at that early interval, but over the remaining time period down to the 1 minute mark, of course, the win dividend for the favourite decreased down to the minimum end of the mega-factor range, $1.80, and stayed consistent. Now, I guess you could say, well, the money support seems to be in a way similar to the money support in the previous race, except that it's more consistent, consistently dominant. It's, relatively speaking, it's dominant here, it's dominant here, it's definitely dominant here, definitely dominant there, and there's a slight easing off here. But the difference was that between the two races was that the percentage held by the favourite was greater in this race, and the separator in percentage return was slightly bigger than the money gap in trifecta, whereas in that previous race that we looked at, it was the other way around. So there is much stronger endorsement in this race to choose mega-factor as your trading strategy than there was in the previous race. And so I thought, well, I'd just sort of show those two contrasting opportunities to, I suppose, provide a little bit more enlightenment as to how to assess, what is a worthwhile mega-factor opportunity and what is one that perhaps should be avoided. I mean, there is a basic similarity between the two, but there are just some subtle differences that sort of cause rejection of the earlier one and endorsement of this one. And both of these, I will say that both of these selections were made prior to the results presenting. So once again, it bears out what Matthew was saying before about we're not sort of manipulating and choosing, mega factors when we know there's a profitable outcome and rejecting them when there's not. It's a matter of looking at the indicators, on balance and saying, am I confident in what I'm seeing? Yes, I am. Then I will choose mega factor. But if there's any skerrick of doubt about it, then of course the alternative group selection outcome should be chosen. So that's pretty much it, Matt, today.
Thanks, Pete. Sorry, I'm just typing frantically here. Just got a few people that have just joined us because daylight savings has thrown them for a spin. But never fear, everybody. I am doing the recording, so I'll be putting this up on the YouTube channel and going ahead and getting Chris to put it into the support portal. And also during the week, I'll have Terry email the link out to everybody, or Chris, somebody's going to email the link out to everybody. Also, if you like, I will put this recording on the IQPro Facebook page. So if you go over to the IQPro Facebook page, like that page, and I will stick the recording up there this afternoon, so you can go ahead and watch that today.
I will also say that with regards to mega factor, for anybody that's sort of new to this and just sort of finding their feet, all the things that I've discussed, concerning, mega factor, are explained and outlined in a mini module that should be in the support portal. If it's not already there, it'll be there very soon.
Yeah, great. So look, our only goal with all of these guys is to keep you informed and to keep you, I guess, warmed up for your trading days. And so if you've got any questions, thoughts or comments, please come back to me or Pete, and we'll be more than happy to make these better for you. If you've got any ways that we could make it better for you, just send me an email. I'm happy to talk to you about it and how we could, really add more value to the business for you. So that's really our goal. Pete, well, I'm pretty complete. How are you done?
Yes, I'm finished for today. I certainly hope that everybody's some benefit has been derived from our discussions today, and I'm sure we'll both look forward to your company in a fortnight's time.
And Pete, I will have to figure out an appropriate theme song for these sessions.
We are working on that, Matt. I've got a few things that I'll run by you, and when we have our discussions. But, So far, we've set aside the Monty Python Flying Circus theme, and we've also set aside the Benny Hill theme. So, any other suggestions for everybody out there? It would be The Bold and the Beautiful. Thank you, Richard. That's very melodic. I'm sad that I actually know that theme. All right then, everybody. Look, thank you very much for taking the time to spend your Saturday mornings with us. And I will see you all in 2 weeks, and all the best. Thanks, Pete. Enjoy thanks, Matt, and you have a good weekend, and everybody have a good weekend, and we'll reconvene in a fortnight's time. So bye now.
Bye for now.